दिखा रहे लाइव।
लाइव दिखा रहा था, तो मैंने बंद कर दिया।
शायद वो ये डिले है फिर।
अब जाके मैंने स्टार्ट करी है। नहीं
अच्छा रुक, यहाँ तेरी फैब्रिक करके कुछ लिखा हुआ है तेरा दिख रहा था।
हाँ फैब्रिक लिखा था, हट गया वो।
अब रुक जा, अभी मैं देखता हूँ। अब तूने लाइव करा,
अभी लाइव कर रहा हूँ।
हाँ अब खोलियो, दिख रहा है मुझे। तू मूवी स्क्रीन पे खोलियो।
मैं कर्सर ले रहा हूँ, दिख रहा है।
अच्छा हाँ 12:04 है। अब लाइव स्ट्रीम हो रही है, मुझे दिख रही है लाइव स्ट्रीम। अब तू कर, अब तू जा और मतलब वो अपना नॉर्मली वो इंटरव्यू दे।
अब दिखा, मैंने डेस्कटॉप चेंज करा, वो दिखा। फैब्रिक दिख रहा है, चेक माइक एंड स्पीकर, टेस्ट माइक एंड स्पीकर। चल एक सेकंड रुक जा। हेलो 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 सुन, मैं शायद वो करूँगा ना, क्या बोलते हैं, स्क्रीन शेयर, तब शायद मामला बिगड़े। तो एक बार देखते रहिए, मैं नेक्स्ट क्लिक करूँगा, दिख रहा है नेक्स्ट। हाँ मैं कह रहा हूँ शायद मैं स्क्रीन शेयर करूँगा तब मामला बिगड़े। तो फिर वो कर दो नेक्स्ट। ठीक है, अब तो सब सही चल रहा है। चल ठीक है, फिर मैं काटता हूँ। और वैसे तो काफ़ी डिले है, पर जो भी होगा नहीं।
Hey, am I speaking with Harshit?
Yes.
Great. I'm Anushka, an AI recruiter at CloudKeeper, here to chat about the CloudKeeper full stack developer role. It's a little past midnight, so how's your Monday shaping up?
It's all good. I was busy Sunday work, like kind of preparing for the interviews. So, like it's all good for now.
I see. Sounds like a busy weekend. Before we jump in, just a tiny heads up to keep things smooth. I'm an AI recruiter, but you can talk to me like you would talk to any other person. I might pause briefly to gather my thoughts, so please be patient. All good?
Okay. Okay.
Awesome. Let's dive into your experience. I'll start with a few questions based on your resume. In your
Okay.
Neston project, how did you implement object oriented principles in your MERN stack development, especially when handling hotel booking functionalities?
Yeah, so like I implemented object-oriented principles by the main rules, main four pillars, which are like uh, inheritism, polymorphism, encapsulation, and abstraction. So like I tried to inherit the properties. I learn how like one property can play various roles in the project, which polymorphism tells. And then I try to learn how encapsulation and abstraction works. I understand how encapsulation and abstraction works. After that, too, I thought like why not go further, use classes and objects. So I use E6 classes to define reusable entities such as models, controllers, and React components. For example, like you might create a user class for managing user properties and operations in your back end or front end. Encapsulation keep data safe by exposing only necessary interfaces through methods. Inheritance design base classes, example a user class, and extend them for like a specialized roles to maximize like code reuse. Modularity means what I tried like separate related functionalities into different modules. I tried to include the services and helper classes. This makes code easier to maintain as your project grows. Then what I was trying to do is applying OOP in backend plays business logic into controller classes that organize methods for user operations such as registration, login, and profile management. Uh, also,
That's really comprehensive. Thanks for sharing that. What
yeah.
challenges did you face when implementing class structures or inheritance patterns in your JavaScript code?
So the challenges which I face when class objects, like the first would be I use E6 classes to define reusable entities. So it was like kind of a difficult for me. So what I tried was I tried to use it and like implement it in a better and structural way. So how can I did? I organize my code in modules, classes rather than large files. I use inheritance only when logical. Prefer composition for flexibility. Encapsulate sensitive data, exposing only what's needed. Uh, I also use my utility models across both back and front end models by regularly using these OOP patterns. Like in my project, which was like solely based on one. What I tried to find was like when implementing this, like the main challenging, which could be in single word, it would be like tight coupling. Inheritance can create strong dependencies between classes. Changes in the parent class may unexpectedly break subclasses, making the code hard to maintain. Overriding issues. Subclasses may override methods in the ways the parent class is unaware of, leading to difficult to track bugs and unexpected behavior. Shallow OOP support, like JavaScript's ES6 classes, are just synthetic sugar over protopal inheritance. This can lead to confusion as classes in JavaScript do not work exactly like those in classical. So like I was trying to understand like how exactly this work, like because Java and OOP languages doesn't work in a classical way. The context of this can be lost in Calibex, like binding issues with this. So event handlers was my main thing, like how I can synchronize the code leading to hard to debug errors. Then the main thing was like node to privacy, which I faced prior to the introduction of private fields. Deep class hierarchies, overusing inheritance was main thing which can lead to complicated, deeply nested class structures that are fragile and hard to react. Limited multiple inheritance, which also I faced one of the challenges because JavaScript does not support multiple inheritance, and it was very difficult because I have studied inheritance in detail and JavaScript does not support like multiple inheritance, making it harder to share like behaviors across unrelated classes without mixin or composition. Composition versus inheritance was also one of the main challenges because many experts suggest composition might not work that good. So that's why. Then accidentally calling a class construction without a new can result in a bugs and pollute the global scope, which I was told by some of my like peers, like you need to protect it. So accidentally calling a class constructor was without new was a problem. Binding a method in class based React component and forgetting to bind it can cause this to undefined or like in event handlers like this my teacher showed me. So I was careful of these concepts. Understanding these challenges helps in making informed design choices, often favoring composition like or functional patterns over deep inheritance chains in my JavaScript projects.
I got it. You faced quite a few challenges with class structures and inheritance patterns. How did you ensure proper encapsulation of booking data?
Okay. So what you're trying to ask me is like how did I ensure proper encapsulation of booking data? Okay. So like the thing was first I get into like the theory of encapsulation. I studied about encapsulation a bit. I tried to find out what encapsulation does. Then I know like okay after an abstraction after I've given away permission like private, public, and protect. After I had given my permission, I have make ensure like okay abstraction what, and then we need to shift to encapsulation. So as soon as shift to encapsulation, I like found out at that moment that backend and like Node.js, which was I trying to do, use like I use models to encapsulate data, which was I trying to do. I was trying to define my booking data, meaning like the like my Mongoose model, let's say I use a database SQL. So I was trying to do the private schema fields and methods that allow control access and updates, like freely I can say seamlessly. The methods that allow control access and updates, avoid exposing database internals directly to the client, which was I trying to do, encapsulate business logic in classes. So that what I mean to say like encapsulate business logic in classes or maybe modules, meaning put booking related operations inside classes or controller modules that expose only necessary interface. Use middleware and validations. Validate incoming booking requests using libraries like JOI to ensure only valid data is accepted, preventing accidental or malicious data injection. Next point I was trying to do is authentication, which is very necessary. Authorization, a very important factor. So use JWT based authentication and role based access control to restrict who can access or modify booking data. Data encryption, encrypt sensitive booking information, example payment details, at rest with MongoDB encryption, and secure data in transit using TLS. Front end, like front end, I was trying to do was front end was state encapsulation, encapsulate booking data within React component state or context, and avoid exposing it. Control forms and validation, meaning use control form components to validate user inputs before sending booking data to backend APIs. Service classes use service modules to interact with backend APIs, exposing clean methods to fetch, create, or update booking data, hiding implementation details. I was also trying to minimize data exposure, store only necessary booking information on the client. So I was trying to avoid storing sensitive data locally. This was like the best thing I was like one of the best things which I was trying to do, according to me.
Thanks for sharing that detailed approach. Let's move on to your university portal project. Can you explain how you designed the database schema in MySQL to handle user authentication and manage college specific news and events?
Okay, all right, I understood what you're trying to say. So, like university portal, the main goal of my project was students, teachers, staff, anyone in the university can try or can like go through my project or my like portal. Meaning like even the students which was trying to get a leave to the college without going to the college can go to the portal and directly access or apply to the record request for the access. The staff can however check their presence like their portfolios, their students like records and many other things like anything which staff can do or do or process. Like the next would be like canteen members, whatever the canteen members would try or like do anything which they need to can also do in my like portal. So I was trying to create a portal in which each and every member of the university can access. So to apply this, I was designing a database schema in MySQL to handle user authentication, which requires focus on like which I in which I was requiring a focus on securely storing user credentials and supporting efficient authentication process. Like here is my approach. Core elements of the schema would be users table, main table to store user information, in which I was using user ID, primary key usually and auto increment integer, username, unique identifier for login, email, password, which I stores the hash password, never plain text, salt, a unique string used to salt password hash, created at, updated at, Time stands for record tracking. Status, then password hashing. Stored password as has values using strong algorithms like pcrypt, argon2, sha2 with salt for security. Never store plain text or encrypted passwords since hashing is one way. Additional tables for advanced features like roles permission table for role-based access control. User sessions or tokens table to manage active sessions or JWT tokens. Then I use password reset recovery table for managing password detail, links, and tokens. So, like this was the one.
I see you designed a comprehensive schema for handling user authentication. How did you manage relationships between users, news, and events?
Okay, so how did I manage a relationship between users, news, and events? Okay, so like I designed a comprehensive schema for handling user authentication. But like my main goal was to connect of my users, which would be like students, staff members, principals, any other like staff. It doesn't matter. They need to work in the university, so they can go to my portal. The my portal would upload the news in the any event which would be necessary. Like there are too many events or so much events going on through the college every now and then. So what they would be doing is they need to just tell the news, and how user can relate. It would be simple using SQL. To manage relationship in SQL between users, news, and events, you design tables and establish relationship using foreign keys that represent how these entities relate in your data model. Common relationship types to consider would be like the first one would be user and news, meaning typically one user can create many news articles, but a news article has only one author. User one to many relationship. User and events, one user can attend or be associated with many events, and an event can have many user participating. A many to many relationship. Suggested tables and relationships. First would be user table, basic user info like user ID, primary. Second would be name email. Second, or after users table, it would be news table, news articles, meaning news ID, primary. User ID, foreign key, referencing users user ID. Title, content, published date. Third would be, I think, a events table. Events table would include event ID, which would be a primary key, title, description, event date. Then fourth will be users events table, which would be joint table to handle many to many between users and events ID primary key, which would include first ID primary key. Second, it would include user ID, foreign key referencing users user ID. Third, it would include event ID, foreign key referencing. uh, Fourth, it would include attendance status. Schema explanation, which I would like to give you, would be the news table as foreign key, linking to users and forcing that each news article belongs to exactly one user. The many-to-many relationship between users and event is handled by the user events join table. This allows each user to participate in many events and each event to have many users. Use an like I used an auto increment primary key in the join table to allow multiple rows for the same pair if needed for repeat attendance or different roles. Yeah, so this was my approach.
Got it. You handle the relationships quite well. What security measures did you implement to protect user credentials in the authentication system?
Okay, so like uh, what you're trying to ask me is what security measures did I implement to protect user credentials in the authentication system? Yeah, so the main the main measure which I was trying to implement was like I was trying to see how I can like how I would say like I was trying to see how I can uh, like go through the user details. So meaning like how I can go through the user details, it would require like primary main focus, and in that my main focus wasn't just like a university portal or something. It was like to see if all the users in my code and like anything are like freely what do we say like freely taking the part and like enjoying their relationship end-to-end relationship perfectly. I meant to say they should not feel like their data is being breached. They should not feel like they should not feel like the data which they had were like data which they had was what do we say not is being linked, or like the staff members have too many data of the students, so they should not feel the data was what do we say like breach kind of thing. So if they are again and again feeling that their data is being like what do we say like what do we say like if they are again and again thinking like their data is being breached, they would not continue to accept my portal. So my main goal or my main objective was to make sure the what do we say the data is the link the data is not been breached, and like data is very secure. And also what do we say mainly what do we say the point is my teachers and they have again and again told to me you need to create what do we say uh, what do we say you need to create a the data the program which is not that efficient, or which is not that efficient, or which is not that easy to leak. Because if the data would be easy to leak, the programmers will easily able to catch you, hack you, and it would cause a nuisance. So you need to protect those nuisance. So after that, if you are able to protect that nuisance, if you are able to what do you say if you are able to protect those nuisance, if you are able to what do we say uh, go through it, I think you will be easily what do we say you will be easily able to protect the data and the credentials in the authentication system. So once you have once you easily protect the user credentials and authentication system, what I would what it could be done is what could we say it could easily what do we say balance, or what do we say create a different what do we say a different entity in the system. And those entities are a different entities, what do we say different entities, meaning they will create what do we say they will create something which would not be that good, meaning which would not be that good, which I'm but what I'm trying to say is in a MERN stack which I'm trying to say what I created in my MERN stack authentication system. like I use several methods. One of the one would be password security, hash passwords. I use a strong hashing algorithm like bcrypt to hash password before storing them in database. I was never storing them in plain text. I Second, I think which I used was authentication mechanism like JWT tokens. I use JSON web tokens to authenticate users, generate JWTs on ping. Then I use secure storage of tokens, store JWT tokens securely on the client side, preferably in HTTP only. Then I use secure communication, use HTTPs, encrypt data in transit. I use input validation and sanitization, validate and sanitize all the user inputs, example username, password to avoid injection and other attack session and token management, implement token experiences and reference mechanism, protect APIs by verifying JWT tokens on each request with middleware. Then what I did, I was thinking about access control, so I use role-based access control RBAC to ensure only users allow only to ensure users only access authorized resources. Essential would be implement multi-factor authentication, monitor and log authentication attempts and failures, keep dependencies up to date with security patches. So that was my approach.
Thank you for sharing those security measures. Let's move on to a more general question. Can you describe a recent project where you implemented both backend Java services and front-end components? What challenges did you face integrating them?
Okay, so what you're trying to ask me is I need to describe a recent project where I implemented both backend and Java services, both back and front end. Okay, but we're trying to ask me about backend Java services and front end components. So, and also what challenges did I face integrating them? Okay, so like the thing was like after I like got admission in MCA, made a few projects on the front end before moving on the back end. So like first of all, the university portal was my first front end and back end object, and then I moved on to the like various other projects like hotel management booking system. I made up one news portal. Then I made like what do we say nested. So like the some common changes which I faced in all of those projects, like I made a few of front end projects and back end projects and few full stack projects. So some of the main challenges which I faced in those projects was integration complexity, meaning ensuring smooth communication between Java backend APIs and front-end frameworks like React or Angular can be complex. Difference in data formats and protocols requires proper API design. Course like cross-origin resource sharing issues often arise when front-end and back-end are hosted on different domains, needing configuration. Debugging across layers, debugging issues that span front-end and back-end can be difficult due to separation of concerns and different technology stacks. Coordinated logging and use of full-stack debugging tools, example, Sanitary LogRocket, are needed to trace problems. Data consistency and types, managing consistent data models between Java backend and JavaScript frontend using tools like TypeScript data consistency and type safety, managing consistent and data models between Java backend. Use tools like TypeScript on front end or OTAs, security and authentication, implementing consistent authentication and authorization mechanism across backend and front end. Secure token handling and protect sensitive data in transit and storage. Performance optimization, like what I was trying to do is I was trying to balance API response optimization and front end rendering for fast user experience. Utilizing caching and pagination and lazy loading strategies. I was trying to deploy an environmental management, managing different deployment environments and configuration for backend, handling versions and compatibility. And also the main thing would be like if you are trying to work in a company, like the team coordination and development workflow would be the main thing after you go ahead and like work for a company. Synchronizing front end and back end teams on API changes, bug fixes, and feature integration would be a part of the team, like how team lead shares and all that. Using shared documentation and communication tools effectively between the team would be one of the best methods to do it. So yeah, these were my challenges, and that's how I integrated it.
Thanks for sharing those challenges. How did you address the data consistency and types issue between the Java backend and JavaScript frontend?
Okay, so yeah, these were my challenges. How did I address the data and types issue between Java backend and JavaScript frontend? Okay, so like the Java backend and JavaScript frontend. Hmm. So like uh, first, what I did after I learned HTML and CSS, I moved on to the JS part. Like I started learning JavaScript. So like I started learning JavaScript. So like what I would trying to what I'm trying to say. After I learned JavaScript, I thought like after like moving on to the backend, we first need to understand the knowledge of databases. So I studied SQL and all, and after that I moved on to Java backend. So to address data and type issues between a Java backend and Java frontend, like there could be several practices and techniques that could be applied. First would be use strong typing and validation, like define clear data contracts using tools like OpenAI Swagger to generate API specifications. This ensures the front end and back end agree on data formats and types. Use TypeScript meaning on the front end to enforce type safe during development and catching type mismatches early. Apply schema validation on both sides on the back end and front end. Synchronize validation logic like share validation rules or schema between front end and back end when possible, such as using JSON schemas or shared library. Always perform backend validation to safeguard against tampered or malformed data, even if front end validates data serialization and deserialization. Serialize Java objects into JSON carefully, making sure types map correctly. Use libraries like JSON in Java or JSON conversion. On the front end, parse JSON with proper typings and handle unexpected message fields gracefully. Then it would be like you should know how to communication via APIs, design RESTful APIs with clear version to handle future data model changes without breaking clients. Consider working Graph as an alternative to REST for more precise data fetching and type safety. Error handling and feedback. The backend should send detailed standard error messages on validation failures, which the front end can like display to the users. What I'm trying to say is like this keeps both ends in sync about what data is expected or rejected. Then you can go then you can directly jump on testing and tooling, meaning like after you have like implemented the code, you need to test before deploying. So you need to implement contract like testing tools like pack to verify that front end and back end agree on UPI data. You need to use automated unit and integration tests which comes with front end and back end for validation logic. By applying these practices, data consistency and type safety, you can the type safety, these things can be significantly improved, reducing runtime errors and enhancing developer productivity when working across Java backend and JavaScript frontend environments.
Thanks for sharing your approach to managing data and type issues. Moving on to a more general topic, why are strings immutable in Java and when would you prefer using String Builder?
Okay, so like your question is why are strings immutable in Java and why would I prefer using string build? So like the strings are immutable in Java because you need not after you have implemented strings, the first case of yours would be to not what do we say make changes in the string, and this would be the first necessity or requirement to a user. That's why he's using a string. So to make sure that the changes are permanent or the changes cannot be done, you need to make sure the strings are mutable. And now why strings are mutable in Java? Because of some fundamental reasons like security. Strings often store sensitive data like passwords or network connections. Immutability ensures this data cannot be changed once created, so protecting against unauthorized alteration and vulnerabilities like SQL injection. Thread safety: immutable strings can be safely shared across multiple threads without synchronization, as their state cannot change. String pooling and memory efficiency: Java maintains a string pool so identical string literal share instances to save memory. Immutability allows safe sharing without risk of one reference altering values seen by others. Hash code caching. Immutable strings can cache their hash codes at creation, improving performance, especially in hash-based connections in like HashMap. String class is final, immutable by design to ensure predictable behavior and avoid subtle bugs caused by modifying shared data. When to prefer using string builder, performance sensitive string manipulation, when you need to modify strings repeatedly. Example, concatenation in loops. Using regular immutable strings creates many intermediate objects causing memory and performance overhead. Mutable string alternative string builder provides a mutable sequence of characters that can be changed without creating new objects, make it efficient for scenarios with frequent changes. Single thread scenarios. String builder is faster but not thread safe, suitable for single thread context. For multi-threaded, use string builder, which is synchronized but slower.
Thanks for explaining that. Let's move on to the next question. Can you describe creating a program that processes text from multiple sources?
Okay, so like what you're trying to ask me is that I need to create a program that processes the text from multiple resources. Okay, so let me think a little bit about it. Okay, uh, I need to create a program that processes text from multiple sources. Okay, So like first, like I what I would do is identify source of text. Like example, the source. Like okay, so first what I would do is identify sources of text. Like if the files is txt, csv, or json, I would like try to identify user input like console or web form, databases, network sources, APIs, web scraping, other external streams. Then I would try to do input handling. Input handling means implement separate modules or classes copied from each source type. Use libraries or APIs suitable for the source. Example Java file, JDBC for databases, HTTP clients for APIs. Handle exceptions and errors gracefully. File not found, network issues. Text normalization, convert encoding to a standard UTF-8, which is recommended. So convert encoding to a standard, which would be UTF-8. Normalize white space, line breaks, remove special characters or unwanted symbols, handle case sensitivity by converting to lower or uppercase if needed, processing logic, parsing, which would be like extract needed data or tokens from text, transformation, clean, modify, or enrich the text, analysis, apply algorithms like searching, or filtering or like counting. So like after applied the algorithms like searching, filtering, counting, sentiment analysis, or pattern matching, then I would consider libraries like Apache, Common Text, OpenNLP, or regex for operations, data structures. I need to choose suitable data structures like array list, like no, like arrays. Then I can jump to array list. Then I can jump to hash map to store and manipulate text data efficiently. Then what I can do is go for the output and see how the output will be provided. S- First, it would be save or display, process result, write back to files, databases, or send over network, provide summaries to analytics if needed. So yeah, that would be all. That would be the like how I would try to create a program.
Thanks for explaining your approach to processing text from multiple sources. Moving on, what is a constructor and how do default and parameterized constructors differ in purpose?
Okay,
Take your time to think about it.
okay, yeah. So like constructor, what is a constructor? Okay, so like
A constructor is a
yeah.
special method in a class that's used
Yes,
to
yes, yes.
initialize
Yeah, I know,
objects.
I know. Yeah, yeah. So what? Yeah, I know. So in yeah, no, like construction is a special method in a class that's used to initialize object. So also what you asked like how to default and parameterize construction of a different purpose. Okay. So like let me tell you like in detail. A constructor in Java is a special method used to initialize objects as you just told, but also it has the same name as the class and does not have a return type. And also what you didn't mention was like the constructor is called automatically when an object is created with the new keyword. Its main purpose is to set initial values for the object's attributes or perform setup steps. So what would be a default constructor? Let's discuss about that. So default constructor is a no argument constructor provided automatically by the Java compiler if no other constructors are defined. What would be parameterized constructor? A parameterized constructor would be it has parameters that allow you to initialize an object with specific values at the time of creation. It lets you pass arguments to like set the initial state of like to set the initial state of object attributes. So yeah, like that's how I described it.
Thanks for explaining constructors and their differences. Let's move on to the next question. How would you build a simple calculator that handles multiple operations?
Okay, so now what you are asking me is like how I would build a simple calculator that handles multiple operations. So it's easy. You need to build a calculator. What you need to do is you need to identify your purpose. What would be your goals? Your goal will be simple. You need to add addition, you need to add subtraction, you need to add multiplication, you need to add division. These four would be the most basic or mathematic concepts which you need to apply on the calculator while making it. How would you go? How would you go? Okay, so like the first step would be to mean to understand how to to understand the basic approach. Like basic approach would be first input handling, read two numbers and operate from the user. Processing logic, use a switch or if else element to detect the operator. Like if it's addition, if it's minus, if it's multiplication, if it's division. So use a switch or if else statement to operate detect the operator. Perform the corresponding arithmetic operation on the numbers. Whatever you want, whatever is needed, perform the corresponding arithmetic operation on the given numbers. Last would be simple display the computed result to the user. If you would like, I can also tell you in brief. Like the program needs two numbers and one operator from the user. It uses switch to choose the operation. Division by zero is handled with an error message. The result is printed in a human readable form. This structure is simple, clear, and extensible if you want to add more operations or error checking later.
Thanks for sharing your approach to building a simple calculator. Now let's discuss how you would find customers who haven't made any purchases recently.
Uh, Sorry, I didn't understand your question. Like, can you repeat? Like, can you elaborate it?
Sure thing. How would you identify customers who haven't made any purchases recently?
Like, what kind of purchases?
You can use a database query to find customers with no recent transactions.
Okay. I understand what you're trying to ask. So, like, what you're trying to ask me is, how would I identify customers who haven't made any purchases recently in a database query? Okay, so how I can do it in a database query to find customers with no recent transaction? It's simple. First thing I would be I would filter by last purchase date, query my database for customers whose most recent purchase date is older than a threshold. So then what I would do is purchase frequency analysis, identify customers with fewer or no purchase within recent period, use the recency metrics, incorporate agency or if any other things which would go, would be then. And then I would go for the additional strategies like segmentation tools or like any other thing. But if you want to give me like a simple SQL query, I would say like select example customer ID, customer name. Then I would go for maximum purchase date as last purchase from purchases. Group by customer ID, comma customer name, having the last purchases which will be less than date sub bracket per date, comma interval 6 month. So that would be my exact query.
Thanks for sharing your approach and SQL query. Moving on, how would you remove duplicates from a list while maintaining the original order? Walk me through your solution.
Okay, it's very simple. How I would remove duplicates from a list while maintaining the original order. It's very simple. The first would I would like to create or like I think it would be already given, which would be a list. So as you know, the list which would be already given to me, I need to just check to the duplicates. I need to remove it. So how I will check the duplicate? It's simple. I would easily what would we say traverse the list. How I can traverse the list? It's simple as that. You need to just what do we say? You need to just go through it. You need to check if there is any duplicate problem. So what would be my general approach? It would be identify duplicates, mark records with duplicate values. So that would be my approach. General approach would be mine to identify duplicates, mark record with duplicates, and we keep the first occurrences. We use row numbering or ranking partition by the duplicate keys to rank duplicates based on their order. Delete or filter out duplicates. Remove all but the first occurrence. Maintain order by preserving the row sequence or timestamping the ranking. Like SQL example, if you would like to give me, would be simple. Uh, like with the rank records, as select, I would select the ID value row number over partition by value order as ID as RN from my table. Delete from my table where ID in select ID from records where RN is greater than 1. So like that would be my query and the above approach I have already discussed. So like it would be work like that. And if you want to know how it works, it would be first the row number assigns numbers to duplicates grouped by value, ordered ID, which indicates order. n is equal to 1 is the first occurrence in which we keep. Rn greater than 1 means duplicate which we delete. Since ordering is based on ID or timestamping, the original order is respected. Walkthrough would be imagine dates, like all kinds of date after after row number over partition by value over ID. First a gets Rn is equal to 1. Deleting rows with Rn greater than 1 remove duplicates but keeps the first occurrences in original order. IDs 1, 2, or comma 4, anything. This method works well where order is tracked by a column such as ID or timestamp and is supported by SQL databases like SQL Server or and others. If working in application like code example Java Python, we need to use a linked list or keep a track of screen elements while iterating to remove duplicates, thus preserving order. So like you let me know if you like want a code example for any specific like for Java or like you want from SQL. I can give you a like program also.
Thanks for sharing your approach and the SQL query. Let's move on to a different type of question. I'll ask you a puzzle and you can take your time to think about it. An employee works for an employer for 7 days. The employer has a gold rod of 7 units. How does the employer pay the employee so that the number of the employee's rod units increases by 1 at the end of each day? The employer can make at most 2 cuts in the rod.
Okay, so what you're trying to ask me is, okay, you have given me a time to think about it. Thanks for what you're trying to ask me is an employee works for an employer for 7 days. Okay, the employer has a gold rod of 7. The employer has a gold rod of 7 units. Okay, how does the employer pay the employee so that the number of employees rods unit increases by 1 at the end of each day? The employer can make at most 2 cuts in the rod. Okay, so like what you're trying to ask me. Okay, so like what you're trying to ask me is like employee works for an employer for 7 days. The employer has a goal rod of 7 units. Okay. So employee works for an employer for 7 days. Employee works for an employer for 7 days. The employer has a gold rod of 7 units. How does the employer pay the employee so that the number of employees rod units increases by 1 at the end of each day? Okay, the employers can make at most 2 cuts in the rod. Okay, so like the condition is given in which the employer can make at most 2 cuts in the rod. Okay, let me just take a little bit of time and think about it. Okay, so like thinking about it, I can go and my approach, which I am thinking is like even if the employee increases its unit by 1 at the end of the day, the employer can make at most 2 cuts in the rod. So I think the puzzle is very classic. Okay, it's very difficult. So let me give you a solution. You want to cut the rod in such a way that on each day the employee can be given a piece totally exactly the number of units equal to the day number one, like 1 unit on day two or 2 units on day two, like 7 units on day seven, like that. So how to cut? Make 2 cuts at positions 1 unit and 3 units from one end, dividing the rod into pieces. Make 2 cuts at positions 1 unit and 3 units, dividing the rod into pieces of length. 1 unit, 2 units from 1 to 3, 4 units from 3 to 7. I have to pay daily. Day one, give the unit one piece. Day two, take back the first unit piece, give the second unit piece. Like 1 plus 2 is equal to 3, but since you took back 1, it's efficiently 2 units given. Day 3, give back 1 unit piece plus 2 unit piece. 1 plus 2 is equal to 3 units. Day 4, take back both 1 and 2 unit pieces and give the 4 unit piece. Day 5, give the 1 unit piece plus 4 unit piece. Like 1 plus 4 is equal to 5 units. Day 6, give the 2 unit piece plus 4 unit piece. 2 plus 4 is equal to 6 units. Yeah, so that would be on day 6. That would be 6 units. Like day 7 would be give all the pieces like 1 plus 2 plus 4. It would be like day 7 you need to give all the pieces, that would be like 1 plus 2 plus 4, which would be equal to 7 units. So this method uses binary denominations like 1 comma 2 comma 4 to minimize the number of cuts and allows paying employees 1 unit more 1 more unit each day. This so also as we know, it was considered only two cuts since you can break the rod at most three part. So yeah, that would be my final answer, which I just gave above.
Thanks for walking through your thought process and solution to the puzzle. That was quite detailed. Now that we've covered all the questions, do you have any questions about the company or the role?
Yeah, so like the only thing which was going through my mind, like I want to ask like how like big is the company and what would be like the benefits given to the employer over there.
CloudKeeper is a growing company focused on innovative cloud solutions, and we offer competitive benefits like health insurance, flexible work hours, and professional development opportunities. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, like what would be the work hours?
We offer flexible work hours so you can find a schedule that works best for you. Anything else on your mind?
Yeah, can we get what do we say, like work from home easily?
Yes, we do provide options for remote work to accommodate different needs. Any other questions?
Yeah, I would like to ask, like as a fresher, like what would be like what do we say, like how this company would be like best for me, and what like the things I would learn in them, and how it will benefit to my growth as a fresher.
As a fresher at CloudKeeper, you'll have the chance to work on cutting edge cloud technologies, collaborate with experienced professionals, and grow your skills in a supportive environment. We focus on continuous learning and development, so you'll have plenty of opportunities to expand your expertise. Anything else you'd like to know?
Yeah, like why are there no glass door reviews of this company?
I currently don't have information on specific reviews, but you can ask about this in the next round. Anything else on your mind?
Yeah, I would also like to ask, like the roles which are you are trying to hire, like would be like specifically on full stack developer, or like would I be moved on to the clouds and other roles?
The role is primarily for a full stack developer, but there might be opportunities to explore other areas within the company as you grow and develop your skills. Anything else you'd like to ask?
Oh yeah, like I would like to ask, can you give me a bit, like a bit, what do we say, in a short, like how did my interview went? Like,
I appreciate your curiosity, but I can't provide feedback on your interview performance. I'll be sharing our conversation with the hiring team, and if you're shortlisted, they'll be in touch with you. Do you have any other questions?
yeah, like also one thing I would like to ask you is like if I go to the other rounds, if I make to the subsequent rounds, like can you like tell me what the topics or the concepts I need to focus on, like or the things which the companies might need to like ask which are the requirements the company might need that they will ask the students, which I can go through right now.
I don't have specific details on the topics for the next rounds, but focusing on full stack development concepts, cloud technologies, and problem solving skills should be helpful. Anything else you'd like to know?
Yeah, like problem solving skills, you mean data structures and algorithms or like logical reasoning?
Problem solving could include both data structures and algorithms, as well as logical reasoning. Anything else you're curious about?
Yeah, I'm trying to like ask you is like if data structures algorithm would be like what do we say, like main thing, or like it would be like just and side by concept.
Data structures and algorithms are definitely important for problem solving, so having a good understanding of them will be beneficial. Anything else on your mind?
Yeah, also can you tell me like the packages if like I'm like starting in the company, the package which was offered to me was like 6 LPA. So like, can you also tell me if there is any growth on the packages, or like would it be consistent? Anything, if you know.
I currently don't have information on specific package growth, but you can ask about this in the next round. Anything else you'd like to know?
Yeah, like if I make to the next round, can you like if I make to the next round, so like it would be like face to face or like it would be an online?
If you're shortlisted for the next round, the hiring team will provide you with all the details about the format and what to expect. You can definitely ask them any specific questions you have about it then. Anything else you'd like to ask?
Yeah, like when would I be expecting the result of this round? Like till when?
The hiring team will reach out to you if you're shortlisted and they'll provide you with the next steps. Anything else on your mind?
Yeah, like the time period, like when will they reach me? Like, do you have any time period? In how many days?
I don't have the exact time frame, but typically it might take a few days. You can expect to hear back soon. Anything else you'd like to know?
Oh yeah, like I would also like to know, like as you told me earlier at the very start of the interview, like you and AI. So like, were you be created by this company only, or like were you created by any other company? Like they gave a project to finish, or like were you just created by the Cloud Keeper itself?
I was created by a team of developers and engineers, and I'm here to assist with the recruitment process at CloudKeeper. Anything else you'd like to ask?
Yeah. I am like the thing I was asking was like, were you created by the developers of Cloud Keeper or like any other company?
I don't have the specific details on who created me, but I'm here to help with the recruitment process for CloudKeeper. Anything else you're curious about?
Yeah, the last thing it would be like, if like the what would be the like what do we say, like the environment of the company. Like if I am selected and if I am to work in your company, like can you go through the environment, like how are the surroundings and all?
CloudKeeper has a collaborative and supportive work environment that encourages innovation and teamwork. We focus on creating a balanced and inclusive workplace where everyone can thrive. Anything else you'd like to know?
No, I think that would be all. Thank you very much. And like I would like to know the result of the round. I'm excited about it. And thanks for talking to me. Thanks for taking your time. That would be all. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Harshit. Thank you for your time and for sharing your experiences. I'll pass along our conversation to the team, and if you're shortlisted, they'll reach out to you soon. Bye.
Bye. हेलो हो गया अबे भाई देख वैसे भी एआई थी मुझे लगा इतना दिमाग खा गई बहन मुझे लगा 10-15 मिनट का होगा बहन इतना दिमाग खा गई 1 घंटा लेगी पूरा मुझे लगा वैसे भी तो यही है कौन सा कोई देख रहा है बहन जितनी गांड मार सकता हूँ उसकी मारता हूँ मुझे लगा जो जो पूछ सकता हूँ सब पूछने देता कि पागल पागल हो जाए खुद ही बंद ना करता इंटरव्यू की हो गया बहन बहुत हो गया फिर तूने नहीं पूछा सामने से पूछा क्लास वाला रिव्यू क्या तब से फिर मैंने थोड़ी उसकी चादर मारनी स्टार्ट करी मैंने कहा इतना ज्ञान छोड़ दिया तेरा रिव्यू क्यों नहीं क्लास ग्रोथ पे तो मैंने उससे बोला कि मतलब तेरे को मेरी आवाज सुनाई दे रही थी सिर्फ उसी की सुनाई दे रही थी मेरी भी सुनाई दे रही थी मेरी कैसे दे रही थी अच्छा अच्छा तो सीन होता ना कि भाई और क्या कहते हैं वो वही कर रही थी क्या बोलते हैं जबरदस्ती का, तो सुना जब तूने वो लिख कर दिया था ना नीचे, तो मैंने उससे भी पूछा कि वैन से क्लास जोड़ करी थी क्यों, जब तक ज्ञान जोड़ दिया तो फिर देखा उसने कितनी तरीके से बोला वैन कि मेरे को तो इन सब चीज़ों के बारे में पता ही नहीं है। मैंने कहा वैन से दिल्ली कितनी जल्दी पलट गई। हाँ 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 हाँ, हम्म, हाँ हाँ हाँ, हम्म, हम्म, हाँ हाँ, अच्छा 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 अच्छा, हाँ हाँ, समझ गया। बट सीन ये है ना कि मतलब वो देख, सीन ये है ना कि वो एआई है, अगर तुझसे भी अगर ये कुछ सवाल पूछेगा ना मतलब वो एआई है, तो वो भी वही आंसर देगी ना तो चैट जीपीटी देगी, मतलब समझ रहा है, वो भी तो एक एआई है। उसका आंसर चैट जीपीटी का आंसर परप्लेक्सिटी का आंसर काइंड ऑफ सेम से ही होगा। और जो उसने दिया है ना वन टू वन, वो जो लाइन दी थी ना उसने कंस्ट्रक्टर, वो लाइन इतनी कॉमन है ना कि तू जावा की बुक खोल, जावा की अबे बहुत कॉमन है भाई, तू जावा की बुक खोल, तू कहीं नेट पे भी जा, तो भी वो लाइन कॉमन मिलेगी। जैसे कुछ कुछ लाइन नहीं होगी, कोई पूछेगा जैसे व्हाट इज स्ट्रिंग बिल्डर, तो वो लाइन एकदम कॉमन ही होगी ना। भाई उसने पूछा व्हाट इज कंस्ट्रक्टर, ये तो भाई यूनिवर्सली कॉमन लाइन है, मतलब जो पहली लाइन थी, ये तो समझ रहा है, ये तो हर जगह कॉमन है, तो इससे मैं वो नहीं कह सकता, बट हाँ जो तू कह रहा है वो हो सकता है, मतलब समझ रहा है कि वो लाइन तो कॉमन है, मुझसे ज्यादा नहीं कर सकते, बट हो सकता है जो तू कह रहे हैं कि इन्होंने इतना दिमाग लगाया है, तो शायद हो सकता है वो, बट मुझे पता नहीं है कुछ अगर ऐसा सीन है तो। बट हाँ हाँ, ठीक है, अलग से बना के दे मतलब। हम्म, अच्छा 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 अच्छा, समझ गया तू क्या कह रहा है। हाँ हाँ, मेरे को भी लग रहा है, वैसे डिले हो रहा था, मतलब कितना तेरे को डिले कितना लग रहा था, मतलब कितना था, ज्यादा था ना, मेरे को वही लग रहा था कि स्टार्टिंग में अंश ने कुछ ही बोले जा रहा हूँ, कुछ ही बोले जा रहा हूँ, मैं तो कुछ भी बोले जा रहा हूँ। अबे यार मतलब सही है, मेरे को लग रहा था कि कल ठीक है, कोई टेंशन वाली बात नहीं है, नॉर्मल हो ही जाएगा, सब मामला सही चल रहा है। बट वही था ना बीच, अब जब तूने गूगल मीटिंग करती थी तब तो भाई मैं नोट कर, तब तो मुझे उसने पूछ लिया था ढंग का कोई क्वेश्चन, और वो तो मुझे झाड़ में नहीं आता कुछ कि चल, बाकी मैं तो कुछ बोल पा रहा था, कुछ भी बंडल में बोले जा रहा था, नहीं आगे चल वहां से तो कुछ भी बोले जा रहा था कि बहन चोद। एक ये सीन था ना, उसने एक सब जो समझ में आ रहा था, मतलब उसने सिक्योरिटी लिखा था, अब मुझे लिखा था सिक्योरिटी से जो समझ में आ रहा था, सिक्योरिटी से क्या होता है, स्टूडेंट लीक, डेटा लीक, ये वो लीक, और वो सब क्या होता है, टीचर के सारे रिकॉर्ड लीक। और उसने यूनिवर्सिटी पोर्टल के पूछा था, तो जो चीजें यूनिवर्सिटी में भी जो कुछ कुछ हमने सुन रखी थी कि भाई ये सारी चीजें हो सकती हैं, सब बोल दिया मैंने आंसर की, बहन ए टू जेड जितना आ रहा सब बोल दिया, कि बस क्योंकि मैं रुक जाऊंगा ना तो मुझे लग रहा था आगे बढ़ जाएगी, फिर क्वेश्चन छोड़, तो मुझे वही लग रहा था जितना आ रहा सब बोल दिया, फिर तेरी लिंक आई, अब वो लिंक में कॉपी पेस्ट कर रहा हूँ, वो भी नहीं थी क्योंकि मैं, तूने एग्जिट कर दिया था ना मीट से, मैंने एग्जिट कर ही नहीं था। मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि बहन चूतिया चूते का कैसा फॉर्मेट हो गया, मैं लिंक ही नहीं डाल पा रहा हूँ। फिर मेरे को पता चला मैंने एग्जिट ही नहीं लिया, मैं प्रॉपर लिंक भी नहीं रहा था, टेढ़े टेढ़ा टेढ़ा चला रहा, फिर बहन से समझ नहीं आ रहा था, फिर मैंने एग्जिट मारा, फिर लिंक पे उसका इतना टाइम हो गया, फिर तूने एक्सेप्ट करा, और फिर जब तूने टाइप करा भाई तब तक कुछ भी कुछ बोले जा रहा हूँ। फिर जाकर आंसर आया, फिर मैंने फटाफट दिया कि पागल बोल, फिर मैंने ये वाले 10 मिनट बकचोदी करी कि 2 मिनट में सही आंसर दिया होगा, 12 मिनट तो उसमें लग गया। पर जो भी था ठीक तो चला गया, बट पता नहीं है मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि गया तो ठीक है भाई, जो तूने बोला उसने, मतलब राउंड डिले कितना तेरे को कितना लग रहा है, डिले 15-20 सेकंड, मेरे को तो 7-8 सेकंड का ही लग रहा है। 15 से ज्यादा का नहीं था, 7-8 ही मान ले, मतलब 15 तो बहुत ज्यादा हो गया, जब हम बात कर रहे थे ना क्या कहते हैं नीचे जाके, तब नीचे जाके मतलब भाई जब कुछ टाइम पहले हम बात कर रहे थे, बहुत ज्यादा था भाई, 15-15 सेकंड छोड़। ये भी सीन हो सकता है शायद कि जब तू स्ट्रीम करके छोड़ दे आधे घंटे तक या 15-20 मिनट तक, तब शायद डिले थोड़ा सा कम हो जाए, क्योंकि तेरा भी इंटरव्यू था ना, तो हमने देखा था आधे घंटे तक छोड़ रखा था, क्योंकि तूने बोलते पहले ही करके लॉग इन कर देते, फिर जब पहुंचा तो नॉर्मल जो डिले था 3 सेकंड का हो गया था। मेरा भी डिले तू पहले कितने का था, अभी जहां तक मुझे लग रहा था डिले 7-8 सेकंड से ज्यादा का लग नहीं रहा था। 8 सेकंड वैसे काफी ज्यादा होता है, बट 8 सेकंड यही था इसलिए पागल बना दिया सबको, तो पागल तो 8 सेकंड तो बहुत ज्यादा नहीं बना सकता, बट फिर भी कम हो गया था 8 सेकंड का डिले, फिर भी कम हो गया था, क्योंकि 8 सेकंड चल मैं कुछ भी बोल रहा था ये, मतलब समझ रहा है, 2 सेकंड तो क्वेश्चन रिपीट कर दिया, फिर 3-4 सेकंड तक अपना आंसर कुछ ही बोला, फिर तूने सर्च मारा, अराउंड 2 सेकंड के अंदर आंसर आ गया, 10 सेकंड के अंदर आंसर आ गया। वो काइंड ऑफ बैलेंस हो जा रहा था। मैं वो देख रहा था कि काफी टाइम हो गया, तो उसके बाद जब इधर कर रहे थे हम, तो हाँ ठीक था मामला। मेरे हिसाब से तो एकदम सही कर रहा था, परफेक्ट कर रहा था, बिल्कुल परफेक्ट कर रहा था, क्योंकि मैं अच्छे तरीके से बोल पा रहा था। मुझे बस ये लग रहा था ना कि तू फटाफट जल्दी से इसलिए ना कर दे, क्योंकि अगर बिल्कुल डिले नहीं होता ना तब तो तू हेजिटेट कर देता कि तेरे को समझ में आ रहा है मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ। लेकिन मुझे वही लग रहा डिले हो रहा था, मेरे को वो लग रहा था कि बस ये अपने आप समझ जाए कि मतलब 7-8 सेकंड का डिले है, तो मतलब मेरी स्पीड क्या होगी, मैं किस हिसाब से बोल रहा हूँ, तो उस हिसाब से सही चल रहा था। आज का तो बिल्कुल सही चल रहा था, कोई दिक्कत आ नहीं रही थी। मैं जो भी था उसको बोले जा रहा था, सीन ये था ना, मैं ये सोच रहा था प्रोग्राम कब लिखवाएगी, प्रोग्राम कब लिखवाएगी, इसने एक प्रोग्राम नहीं लिखवाया, पूरा भैंस A to Z चोरी किया था। मैंने लिटरली उससे पूछा भी था एक बारी तो। तो हाँ, ये भी तो सही कह रहा है कि प्रोग्राम का तो कोई सीन ही नहीं था। अगर मैं लिख भी देता नोटपैड पे तो शायद ये जज ही ना कर पाती। यही है ना। अरे हाँ, सही कह रहा तू, और प्यार से कर लेगी तू। बट हाँ, हो सकता है ना वो वाला सीन हो कि मतलब मेरा प्रोग्राम लिखाऊं, मैं नोटपैड पे जाऊं, तो शायद ये नोटपैड पढ़ ना पाए, मतलब इसका जो भी प्रोग्राम हो। पता नहीं, शायद उसकी जो थी ना फैब्रिक, जो भी था, उसमें शायद टाइप का ऑप्शन था, क्योंकि उसने एक बार भी नहीं बोला। इजीली कर सकता था, पर शायद वो वाला सीन हो ना कि इनको डेटाबेस चाहिए, क्योंकि मैंने से 3-4 बार पूछा प्रोग्राम, और इसका पूरा का पूरा देख रहा, पूरा का पूरा इसका जो इंटरव्यू था वो क्या कहते हैं, फुल स्टैक डेवलपर और जावा पे था। मैंने जब आशीष से ही पूछा था ना, तो उसने वही बोला था कि जो इंटरव्यूअर है पूरा का पूरा इसका ध्यान तेरा प्रोजेक्ट भी जाएगा और जावा पे जाएगा। उसे पहले ही बोल दिया था पूरा ध्यान फुल स्टैक पे जाएगा और जावा पे जाएगा। तो अभी भी देख ले इंटरव्यू पे उसका हो गया था, शायद कल ही उसने दे दिया था। नहीं, आज सुबह दिया था शायद, या कल रात में, मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा, मैंने दोपहर में पूछा था उससे। नहीं, कल रात में, हाँ कल रात में दे दिया था उसने। तो वही अभी मैंने वही देख लिया, पूरा देख लिया, प्रोजेक्ट भी था, इसका ध्यान आता पहला देख आधा टाइम तो उसी भी गया, एंड में टाइम जावा पे आ गया, फिर एक आधा क्वेश्चन एसक्यूएल का पूछा। तो शायद इसका फंडा इन लोगों का क्लियर ही है कि जिस हिसाब से जा रहे हैं सबसे सही टाइप से पूछा होगा। बस मेरे को तो ये लगता है कि 415 बंदों का हुआ इंटरव्यू। दैट इज बात लग रहा है ना, देख अच्छा तो एक है, बट समझ 415 बंदों का हुआ है, तो तेरा अच्छा नहीं, तेरा बहुत ही अच्छा जाना चाहिए। क्योंकि वो कितने चाहिए होंगे, मुझे 15 से ऊपर थोड़ी चाहिए होगा, मेरे को तो 15 भी ज्यादा ही लग रहा है, 10 से भी ऊपर नहीं चाहिए होगा। मैं समझ 10 से भी ऊपर नहीं चाहिए होगा, पर मान लेते हैं ज्यादा, तो 15 से भी ऊपर नहीं चाहिए होगा, क्योंकि ज्यादा ही है। बुलाएंगे तो जहां तक मुझे लग रहा है 70-80 को बुला लेंगे, पागल तो नहीं है। 60, हाँ चल ले ले 60, तो इजीली 15 चाहिए अगर मान ले चाहिए, तो इंटू 4 टाइम्स मान ले कि 15 चाहिए, तो 60 आराम से बुला लेंगे। हाँ, तो गलत नहीं कह रहा है कि हर कंपनी में जो ऑप्शन होता है तो उनको लगता है बेस्ट ही ले लो, बैंक जितना बढ़िया ही चाहिए वही ले लो। पागल ही हो गया, पता नहीं कितना ही बढ़िया चाहिए। चल वो भी तो सही कह रहा है वैसे, बट वही मैं कह रहा हूँ ना कि इंटरव्यू अच्छा गया, जैसे वो भी तो था मेरा नगारो कितना बढ़िया गया था, बट वही सीन है कि फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता उससे, भैंस बिल्कुल 1 सेकंड का भी डिले नहीं होना चाहिए था, तुरंत ही रट्टे का आंसर देना था, और वो लाइट वाली जब जो होगी थी वो भी नहीं होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि भाई उनको एंड में बेटर बंदा मिल गया। मेरे को बाद में वही लगा कि जो 1-2 सेकंड डिले हो रहा था ना, 1-2 सेकंड 1-2 मिनट का हो रहा था उसमें, तो कुछ में 1-2 मिनट का तो वो भी होना चाहिए था, और जो लाइट वाली बकचोदी हो गई थी ना भाई, वो तो लगी होगी। हाँ, तो वही कह रहा हूँ, मेरे को लग रहा था भाई पागल वागल हो गया, थोड़ा सा दिक्कत था उसमें। मन तो कर रहा था कि भाई अगर इंटरव्यू नहीं होता ना कोई, वो होती नॉर्मल क्लास, अब तक एग्जिट एग्जिट मार देना, नहीं दिख रहा, नहीं दिख रहा, मैं तो कैसे नहीं दिख रहा मेरे को, मैं क्लियर दिख रहा हूँ। अलग ही बात कर रहा है, कह रहे तुम दिख नहीं रहे हो, मैं कर्सर ला रहा हूँ, सोचो तेरे सामने तोड़ा था, मैं कर्सर ला रहा हूँ, कर्सर को गूगल मीट के ऊपर रख रहा हूँ, और फिर मैं उसको दिखने लग जा रहा हूँ। मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा क्या बोल रहा है। मैंने सोचा मैं कर्सर ला रहा हूँ, कर्सर गूगल मीट नहीं है जो आइकन होता है उसके ऊपर क्लिक कर रहा हूँ, ऑटोमेटिकली वो कह रहा है हाँ अब तुम्हारी ब्राइटनेस बढ़ गई, तुम दिखने लग जाओ। मैं कह रहा हूँ मैं तो कुछ कर ही नहीं रहा हूँ, ना मैं हिल रहा हूँ ना कुछ कर रहा हूँ, लैपटॉप हिला रहा हूँ अपना, वो भी नहीं हिला रहा हूँ, कर्सर हिला रहा हूँ, ना लैपटॉप हिला रहा हूँ, कर्सर हिला रहा हूँ, सूचो को दिखने लग जा रहा हूँ। भाई मेरा दिमाग कुछ टाइम खराब हो गया था। हाँ, बाद में उसने बोल दिया था शायद। हाँ, बाद में मान ली उसने उसकी तरफ से, बट थोड़ी सी मेरी साइड से भी थी, क्योंकि मैंने एक तेरे को दे रखा था ना ईयरफोन, एक खुद पे रख रखा था, तो थोड़ा मेरी साइड से था बट थोड़ा उसकी साइड से भी था, तो वही था ना कि ले दे के पूरे हमला खराब हो गया। उसके एंड से परफेक्ट रहता ना तो काम चल जाता, थोड़ा उसका एंड भी खराब हो रखा है, मेरा तो थाई से लटका लुटकी वाला मामला। भाई ले दे के भैंस बिल्कुल ही वो लग गया, नहीं तो वो इतना सही गया था ना कि इसमें हो ही जाना चाहिए था, वो सही गया था। अब इसने भी देखा, एंड पजल पूछ ही दिया, जो इसने पजल पूछा था एंड में, 7 वाला पता नहीं कौन सा, भाई वो पजल पूछ ही दिया है इसने। नहीं, मैं कह रहा हूँ उसने पूछ लिया एंड में पजल, मुझे लग नहीं रहा था पजल पूछेगी। भाई तेरे आंसर सही था ना, वो मतलब दे दिया था ना, क्योंकि मेरे को तो आंसर जब दे रहा था तब भी समझ में नहीं आ रहा था क्या आंसर है, मैं तो पता मुश्किल लग रही थी। मतलब जब तक उसने मेरे को पजल दी थी ना, जब तक तो टाइप कर रहा था, आंसर आता उतने मैं समझने की कोशिश ही कर रहा था और सोच रहा था क्या अप्रोच होगी इसको बोल बोल के कि ये हो सकता है। सोचने की कोशिश तो मैं कर रहा था, सोचने की बार बार बोल बोल के, पर समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा था मेरे को कि आंसर क्या हो। पजल मुश्किल लग रही थी, आसान प्रोपोजल नहीं थी, मतलब जो भी था। फिर जब तूने आंसर आया ना, तब मुझे लगा ऐसे ही करा होगा, जो लिखा रट्टा मार के बोल देता हूँ। फिर मैंने बोल दिया कि सामने से कोई क्रॉस क्वेश्चन करने वाला है नहीं, जो करेगा तो फिर आंसर आ जाएगा, तो क्या ही लेना देना। तो मैंने कहा सटाओ, जो लिखा रट्टा मार के बोल देता हूँ। फिर ना सब A to Z बोल दिया। अब पता नहीं क्या हो गया यार। अभी भी तेरे को मेरी स्क्रीन दिख रही है? ये लिखा हुआ है ना, योर रिजल्ट विल बी रेडी इन 10-15 मिनट्स। मैं बिल्ली पूछ रहा है यार, इनकी वो तो सही है भाई, फैब्रिक वाला। योर रिजल्ट विल बी रेडी इन 10-15। अबे इन्होंने शायद बोल लिया होगा ना, किसी से सर्विसेज ली होगी ऑफिस में, क्योंकि इतना तो खुद, इतना तगड़े तो नहीं है, खुद ही बनाते हैं। यही दिख रहा था कि अकाउंट फाड़ यही है। इतनी बड़ी कंपनी नहीं है कि सब कुछ की गूगल की तरह की एआई भी खुद का ही बना देंगे, हायरिंग भी खुद का ही कर देंगे सब कुछ। इतनी बड़ी भी नहीं है भाई, 2,500 एम्प्लॉई है। योर रिजल्ट विल बी रेडी इन 2,500 है। परप्लेक्सिटी के, परप्लेक्सिटी के 300-400 एम्प्लॉई है। हाँ हाँ। हम्म। हाँ, ऑफिस नोएडा में ही है, 144 सेक्टर में। अच्छा अच्छा। 400 एम्प्लॉई है जो मेरे को पता नहीं कौन बता रहा था 2,500 है यार। शायद आशीष ही कह रहा था, मेरे को कह रहा था बड़ी कंपनी 2,500 एम्प्लॉय है, 2,500 एम्प्लॉय है। मैंने कहा बहन जो कहाँ से देख लिया उसने। और भाई ग्लोबली 500 ही है। तो मेरे को उन चूतियों ने 2,500 बोल दिया। मैं हाँ क्लाउड की पर, हाँ मेरे को सामने 10 बार बहन से। उसको नहीं गिना इसने, उसके एम्प्लॉयज को। हाँ हाँ पूछ। क्या लिखा ना? 192, 200 एम्प्लॉयज। परप्लेक्सिटी कह रहा है। बहन चो, ये तो कुछ भी नहीं है। ये तो बड़े, तो मेरे को कौन कह रहा था जो 2,500 एम्प्लॉयज। भाई फिर तो हाँ। तू सही कह रहा है यार, 2,500 लिटरली बड़ा है हाँ।